Thank you. Does this just go by itself then? So that's a prop, but anyway. So I'm a very obedient person, so I take this very literally, and I'm going to show you portraits. And I'm just going to go back from early on and go forward. This is from the early 90s when I was very interested as a photographer in digital media and new media. And what can happen on the computer. And so these look very 90s, and these are two different images. Dioramas where I really knew, because with a computer I could distort faces, I had to do that. So I did a lot of distortions. And this was a series called Microman. This already passed now, but that was where I had used a scanning electron microscope for close-ups and television imagery, and then these floating heads that were done in the studio. After a while, I kind of started to feel like the digital revolution and the whole Wired magazine culture and all that really could only deal with one thing, and that was itself. Everything you did was always about that. And so eventually, I just went back to film, and I went back to the camera. And I, by luck, got this opportunity to teach kids in prison photography. And they wanted me to also make photographs. And they wanted day-in-the-life photographs that they could use in their annual report and stuff like that. And I was really uncomfortable with that because I'm only in for a few hours. What do I know about a life in there? They're the experts. So I said, well, could I go in with an 8x10 camera, which is this big, and an assistant and lights, and these are like massively cropped images. This is not how they're supposed to look. But, and for some crazy reason, they said, sure, that's okay. So I went in with the idea, first of all, of making portraits where I wanted to actually extract the people from these prison environments and just show the people who actually lived the life, and not behind bars and not with all the cliches and all that. But I did stray from that because I saw some real mind-blowing things like that first shot, which they were all locked up in these little cells and were only allowed to leave 1 hour per day. They had nothing in there. That actually goes on in the state, or at least it did back then. These pictures are from about 2000, year 2000, and I photographed from 97 to 2006, I think, or 5, in different institutions. This is from the Green Hill School in Chehalis. This is Oak Ridge right here in Tacoma, which is a halfway house, where they're still under lock and key and surveillance, but they do get to put on regular clothes and take a job at KFC, and then come back and get locked up again. So they have a little bit of freedom. I really just, I got to a point with this where it didn't matter to me that they were really, prisoners or that they were bad boys. They probably could have been high school kids. I started to relate to them on a level that was like, we'd all forget why they were there, that kind of thing. I then somehow got marked as the person who photographs the underprivileged and the people that are essentially part of the system I call the maternal, the maternal system of the state, where they're basically under control of the state system. That was DSHS. I did some work for this art gallery program with the Department of Social and Health Services. Later on, this is about 2004 on forward, I went to a place called the Rainier School, which is up in Buckley, and it's this beautiful campus for people that are intellectually challenged, but they call them mentally retarded. It's a pretty traditional place. It's very interesting because it used to be a school. The school closed years ago. It's more of an assisted living country club, if you can call it that. It's kind of a nice place, and these people are only there because they've always been there. Like in this day and age, they wouldn't be there, and so the place is just sort of dying. Literally, the residents are dying. The place is getting smaller and smaller, and there was a real kind of beauty to it that I didn't find in the prison system. And so instead of extracting them from their environments, I wanted to place them within their environments because good or bad, it was the only thing they knew. And I'm really sorry, these are like cropped so that my cropping skills are like, I know a little, yeah, whatever. So I did this for a while. When you work with state facilities like this, you do have a limited window of opportunity. They get sick of you and they throw you out. I got thrown out a lot. This was for a project I did last year called the 50 States Project, and somehow I got to be the Washington State photographer. I didn't make money or anything, but it was every month we would have a different assignment, and this was actually about habitat, not portraiture. And this is one I didn't even submit, but I like the picture. This is what I'm working on now. In fact, I'm going to go back next week. This is the town I went to high school in. It's a completely uninteresting town, so I don't know why I do that. But it's in American Falls, Idaho, and the project is called As American Falls. It's a town that's totally been destroyed by Walmart and by big agricultural corporations. That's the local mayor. He's a really nice guy. You can't see in this light, but all his files are just in big cardboard boxes in that vault. And that's how he basically is the lawyer for the whole town. So I do a lot of landscapes with this too, but as I said, I'm very obedient, so I only showing you the portraits that I've been doing from that series. This is Nick Schroeder. He was the wildest boy in high school. This was my 35th high school reunion. He wanted to show me his biggest mistake, which was his Alice Cooper tattoo. Which I didn't know that was an Alice Cooper tattoo, but you know, I found out if I give him enough beers, he would do anything for me. And so he was happy to do that. And this is unrelated to any serious project, but this is my daughter, and I do a lot of portraits of her, so I'm ending with that. And that's it.
All right. Thank you.